Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Korlick with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, welcome to Playload. This is all my video game pickups for January 2013, and we'll just get straight into it with, ironically, a pickup that was not acquired in January 2013. And the only reason it's here is, you guys might remember, I did an unboxing of this super slim PS3. This is the third model of the PlayStation 3. And I actually picked this up in November 2012 on Black Friday, but I was only able to open it this month in January just to do a video for you guys. And so that's why I'm including it, and I'm including the games that it came with. These cases are not original, but if you want more information on that, you're going to have to go check out that video. That's a shameless plug, I admit. But yeah, the reason I have it here, of course, is because I was finally able to use it in January 2013. So let's move on to things I actually got in 2013. First up here, I got the Turbo EverDrive. This is a flash card for the TurboGrafx 16 and PC Engine. And basically what it is every single game for that system ever is on here, and you can play them all off this one card. It's awesome. Now, I picked this up from retrotowers.co.uk. It's an online store based in the UK, and as I did an entire video on this thing. So if you want more information on it, please go check out that video. But there's one thing I'll tell you in this video is that I said in that video: if you use my name as a coupon code, AdamK, which I'll put right here, if you use that code, you'll get 5% off your order. Not just on this, but on anything on that website. 5% off anything. And the guy ships worldwide, so check it out. You know, it's not just this, but other items. This is a really neat item, and I would highly recommend that, along with all the other EverDrives, which I believe he sells. So anyway, that's awesome. But let's move on. I picked up a Wii Mini. Now, I also did a video on this. An unboxing / like 6.5-minute rant about why this thing sucks. But if you know, I highly recommend checking out that video if you want more information. But in short, this is the third revision of the Nintendo Wii, and it's exclusive to Canada. That's what makes it interesting. I was up there on vacation, and I picked it up because I'm certain that this will never get a wider release because it's horrible, and I don't think it's ever going to take off. So it's going to probably be a pretty rare item one day, and really the only reason I wanted it was for the collector value. It comes with this red WiiMotion Plus Wiimote and a red nunchuck. So, you know, whatever. It was cool. It's cool to have, but, you know, whatever. I like it in that sense as a collector's piece, but that's really all it is. But again, I did an entire video about it, so check that out. As mentioned in that video, it came with a copy of Just Dance 3 for the Wii, of course, and it's sealed because I don't give a shit about Just Dance 3. I want to sell this. I do not want to own this thing. I'm embarrassed to have it. So that's my review of Just Dance 3. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I picked this up, obviously. And I showed it off a little bit in that video when I did the Wii Mini unboxing. Yeah, this is a really cool game. I prefer New Super Mario Bros. U over this version. But it is a good game nonetheless. If you have a Wii, you probably already own this, but if you don't already own it, you should get it because it's a very, very neat game. And it's very similar to... It's like the logical evolution of Super Mario World. If you were to ignore all the GameCube and N64 stuff. It's a cool game. I like it a lot. I just wish it didn't have to use that retarded controller. But yeah, that's it for Wii stuff, I guess. Again, like I said, I was up in Canada, and I was at a store called Toy Rat. This store is fantastic. I plug them all the time, and I'm going to plug them again because I love that store. It is one of the, in my personal opinion, I mean, I've been to a lot of stores, and that is one of my favorite stores in North America for video games. So I highly recommend it. If you're ever in the Southern Ontario area, go check it out. And I've done a lot of videos on it, so please check those out as well. While I was up there in Canada, getting, of course, the Wii Mini, I also went and got other stuff at Toy Rat, and one of the things I got here is a Famicom Disk System. Now, for those who don't know what a Famicom Disk System is, first you have to know what a Famicom is. The Famicom, which I don't own, unfortunately, is the Japanese equivalent of what we know as the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. It looks drastically different, but inside it's basically the same. This is an add-on for that system. Think of this kind of like the Sega CD. Except, of course, it uses like floppy disks, not CDs. and you attach it to the system, and then there'd be whole different games that would, you know, work on there. And some of the games would have like enhanced music if you use this thing, and they'd have expansions and stuff like that. But it has another little piece to it that I did not bring out for the video that allows you to connect it to the system. But yeah, I picked it up because I wanted a Famicom Disk System, and despite the fact that I don't have a Famicom, I know I'll get one day, and it'll be good to have this with it. And that's what I love about Toy Rat, is the ability to walk into a store in North America to pick up a Famicom Disk System, because you really don't see these in North America particularly often. While I was there, of course, I picked up Futurama for the Xbox. This is a relatively rare original Xbox game. It's a lot of fun if you like the show, and of course I do like the show a lot, and I think if you don't like Futurama, then I don't know much, that's just weird. If you don't like Futurama, you've got issues. But yeah, this game it's fun, but it's a little repetitive at times. Really, the only reason you play it is for the story, and you'd only play the story if you like Futurama. So it's just neat to have because I like Futurama a lot. Okay, and then for the Sega Saturn, this is the Japanese-only release called Sagata Sanshiro Shinken Yugi. Did I do that justice? Shinken Yugi, yes. Okay, this is something I'm betting most of you won't know. This guy right here was the mascot for the Sega Saturn in Japan. Look up commercials for this guy. It is hysterical. All right, this guy, the way they would promote videos, let's say, for example, Sega was releasing like a new baseball game, right? This is true. They actually did this. There was a commercial with this guy in which all these kids are like out in a Little League field. They're all playing baseball, having a good time. And then this guy shows up, and he beats the crap out of all these little kids, and then he throws a Sega Saturn at them and says, like, what are you doing? You need to be playing baseball games on the Saturn, not actual baseball, you dumbass. And then that's really what every commercial would be. Whatever it was themed, the theme of the game, this guy would show up, beat everyone up, and make them do that thing, but on the Saturn. It's pretty funny, honestly. So he got his own game towards the end of the Sega Saturn's lifespan, and it's really neat to have because it's kind of a rare title. And again, I got this up at Toy Rat, and he gave me a really good deal on this because he's really cool. So happy to have that as part of my collection. Although honestly, the gameplay it's kind of like a series of like party type of games because I don't know, there wasn't really much they could do to give him a game, but they did it anyway. So whatever, it's just a cool showpiece. Now I did an entire video about this thing. This is my most recent episode of Keep Dreaming. This is something the Toy Rat, he gave me absolutely for free. This is a Dreamcast Czech GD. It is a piece of development hardware that Sega would use to run diagnostics on defective Dreamcast systems. Or maybe they used them when they were building them. I'm not really sure. Basically, it comes with this little cable, and you connect this to the back of the system, and this part to a computer. And then you run this disk on the system, and if there's anything wrong with the system, it tells you what the problem is. So, you know, it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it requires that cable in order to work. So, I don't know I don't know how that could ever be cracked, honestly. Maybe you could build your own kind of cable, but whatever. Point is, Toy Rat was awesome enough to give this to me absolutely for free, because he's really, really cool. So, I also picked up Resident Evil 6. Now, again, like I said before, I was up in Canada on a vacation, and I was there during something called Boxing Week. It is basically the Canadian equivalent of Black Friday, except it goes on for like an entire week. So they had Resident Evil 6 on sale for $20, which is pretty good. Best Buy, I mean, had it on sale for $20, which is really pretty good considering it's a pretty new game. I haven't seen it that cheap in the States yet, so I decided to pick it up. And the same goes for this game, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale for the PS3. This also was on sale at Best Buy in Canada for, I believe, $20 as well, which is a pretty good price for this. Now, I don't own a Vita, but apparently when you buy this version, you can download the Vita version, which I did, but I can't transfer it to a Vita because I don't own one yet. But if I get one, I'll already have another game for it, even though it's a stupid digital game. Now, of course, the problem with them being Canadian is the fact that they have, you know, French and English on the back. I like English, obviously, but I don't like French. Nothing against French people, of course. I just don't speak French, and I think it kind of ruins the artwork, but I'm, you know, nothing against French people, of course. Now, basic review of these games, of course, is that Resident Evil 6, I haven't played a whole lot of. I know the general consensus is that game is not very good. It doesn't feel very Resident Evil-esque, and that Capcom has been desperately releasing DLC constantly to try, and the quote I heard was to try and make it resemble an actual Resident Evil game. So that's kind of funny. Maybe one day I'll get around to playing that. I hope so, because I like a lot of the older ones, but I haven't really played like 4, 5, or 6. So, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's a Smash Brothers clone. That's really all it is. It's just Sony's characters. So, you know, if you've played Smash Brothers, you've played this. It's just different characters. The primary reason I picked it up was just because Sweet Tooth's in it, and I love Twisted Metals, so it was really cool to have that. Moving on. D for the Sega Saturn. This is a horror game that was, I believe, on the 3DO and the PS1 as well. But I saw it for the Sega Saturn and decided to get it because I have D2 for the Dreamcast, but I never owned D1. And of course, my first choice would be the Saturn because I'm a Sega fanboy, in all honesty. So it's really cool to have that. But I haven't spent a whole lot of time playing it. Maybe at some point I'll sit down and do some sort of mini D marathon. My other Sega Saturn pickup, nothing special, NBA Action 98. This was at a store for 50 cents, and, you know, it's a game I don't have, it's in good shape, the case is complete, so I figured, give it a good home. It's better than seeing it go into the trash, especially for such a really low price. Moving on, I got, for the Sega Genesis, Chester Cheetah Wild Wild Quest. I'd be lying if I said I remember anything about this game. I think I played it for a little bit, and it was relatively difficult. It's a platformer with Chester Cheetah, the Cheetos mascot. That was the thing about the 90s I miss a lot, is that every product had a mascot, and it didn't take much for them to just give a video game to them. I mean, could you honestly imagine Cheetos coming out with a video game now to promote their character? No way. But in the 90s, you know, anything's possible. Here it is, the cartridge right here. So, yeah, I do miss that about the 90s, is all the ridiculous mascots that got video games. For the Genesis as well, I picked up Cutthroat Island. Now, I see a lot of famous people on this cover. I see Gina Davis, I see Frank Langella, I see two other people I recognize. I don't remember who they are offhand. But I don't remember this being a movie, and I can't imagine these actors would have licensed themselves to just a video game that can't even do them justice because it's a 16-bit game. So, I don't know. Was Cutthroat Island a movie? Maybe I should have looked that up before I said this, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about this. My girlfriend convinced me to buy this, so that was really the only reason I did. I remember the gameplay being very forgettable, if that makes any sense. So, it's hard to give it any more information than that. Moving on, I picked up Monopoly for the Sega Master System. It has been a long time since I picked up a Sega Master System game. And yeah, I don't know, I just saw it, it was complete, it didn't cost much, and I just decided I would pick it up just because I needed to boost my Master System collection a little bit. And who doesn't like Monopoly? But it's got a battery in it for backup RAM, and true enough, I turned it on and that battery still worked. So it had some kids saved from like 1987 on there, so that was kind of impressive. But yeah, I mean, it's just Monopoly on an 8-bit format. That's about all it is. Now I picked up Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. It's an obscure little game. I'm sure no one's really heard of it. But that's a joke. Yeah, Super Mario Kart I think we're all kind of familiar with. Honestly, surprisingly, I did not own this game until just recently, obviously. And I don't know what the hell took me so long. Frankly, Super Mario Kart was one of these games where my cousins, when I was growing up, man, they all played this game. They just were obsessed with it, and I never understood why. I played Mario Kart 64, thought that was fantastic. I played some of the later ones, thought they were good. There's just something about this first one I never really got into. Now, since I purchased it, I did play it some more, and I kind of see what I was missing as a child, but I don't know. It's just not my favorite in the series. My favorite is Mario Kart 64. For the Game Gear, now I don't pick up Game Gear games particularly often, so it's kind of nice to be able to add one. The Lucky Dime Caper, starring Donald Duck. The only reason I picked this up is, again, like I said, I have cousins, and growing up, one of them had a Game Gear, and he had like 3 games. And every once in a while, he would just let me play his Game Gear, and this was one of the games he had. And being a kid, this was pretty much the only one that made any sense to me. So basically, you just play as Donald Duck, and you throw things, and I don't know. I really only picked it up because it was cheap and it just had childhood sentiment to it. That's about it. I got a couple of Atari 2600 games. I got Pitfall, which I think everybody knows Pitfall, and EPYX Summer Games. Now the funny thing about this one is that I just recently picked up EPYX, I think, Winter Games. And this is an astonishing coincidence, because in both cases what happened with this, and I think most of the Atari 2600 pickups I got last time, is I know a local CD store that has what they call a free bin. They just occasionally throw things in there I guess they feel they can't sell, or that are beyond, or that are too damaged for them to sell, and they don't want to deal with it, so they'll just throw random things in there. Anything you see in there you can just take, and they don't care. And these were in there, so I thought, okay, I'll give them homes. I actually don't own them already. So I thought it was funny that clearly at some point somebody traded in both EPYX games, and somehow they decided to give them both away for free at different times, and I ended up with them both times. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I do remember this one being kind of visually impressive for the 2600, but that's about all. For the Nintendo 64, I got Doom 64. I have not played this yet. I don't remember. I know I booted it to make sure it works, but that's really all I did. If anybody has any basic review of this game, I'd be curious to know. I've never been a huge Doom fan, but it didn't cost much, so that's why I picked it up. And I got Extreme XG2, another stupid racing game, but this, again, these were together, and they were both really cheap, so I decided I would just give it a good home. But, you know, I have no love for these weird futuristic racing motorcycle games. And with that, I come to Gran Turismo, also a racing game that I don't really care about. But at least we all kind of know what Gran Turismo is. Famous car racing game with like authentic licensed cars on the PS1. I am sad that the Gran Turismo 2 Bleemcast pack for the Dreamcast, if you don't know what that is, it's an emulator that came out in like 2000, 2001 by this company called Bleem to let you play PlayStation games on the Dreamcast. There were 3 official releases, and then there were a bunch, and then there was a bunch of unofficial ones that I'm not referring to. One of the official releases was Gran Turismo 2. You'd pop in the disc, and then you'd play. You'd pop in the Bleemcast disc, your Dreamcast would read it, and then it would tell you to take the disc out, and you'd put in your PlayStation copy of Gran Turismo 2. And it would run the game better than the PS1 could, or even better than the PS2 could, which is kind of amazing to a lot of people. What I didn't understand, and still kind of don't, is why those packs that they released didn't support the other games in the series. Like, Gran Turismo 2, that pack should have supported Gran Turismo 1. I think that would have helped it sell better. They did Metal Gear Solid, and I think that would have helped if it supported, you know, VR missions, which I still need to get a copy of that game. And they did Tekken 3, and I feel that if that had supported Tekken 1 and 2, that probably would have sold better as well. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't make it support 400 games, just make it support a couple. But that's just my thoughts. My actual opinion on the game, I don't even really like racing games. This was just incredibly cheap at a Goodwill. I think I paid like 50 cents for this, so that's why I picked it up. It is complete, you know, manual, it's got the disc, it runs perfectly, so that's why I picked it up, and I can't manage to close it with one hand. There we go. So, that was about it. For the PlayStation 2, this is the only PS2 game I picked up this month, Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am. This is the only video game for the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which is, I love that show. I think it's hysterical, and this game it's got obviously a lot of the humor of that show. It's written by the same people, it's voiced by all the same actors, but really, when you play this game, you're only playing it for the story and the video cinematics, because basically all you're doing in this game is like some variation of golf, which they even make a joke about. It's like, well, learn how to putt, because that's all you do in the entire game. Really, that's the game. They say that in the game, which I thought that was pretty funny. So, yeah, this isn't really a game I would recommend unless you're like actually a fan of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because as a game goes, it's just a stupid golf game. I picked up Pikmin for the Nintendo GameCube. This is the only GameCube game I picked up recently, or at least this month. I have a friend who's absolutely obsessed with the Pikmin games, and that's pretty much what convinced me to get it, is he just goes off on Pikmin all the time. So when I saw it for relatively cheap, I think I paid like 10 for this, I decided to just go ahead and get it. I still need to get Pikmin 2, but that game is substantially more expensive and harder to find, so yeah, maybe one day I will pick that up. I've found it a few times, but it always costs like $50-$60, and I'm just not willing to pay that since I don't really care a whole lot about Pikmin. But I'm sure most of you out there know what Pikmin is and are at least vaguely familiar with the series, so I don't really need to say much about that. Picked up a couple of original Xbox titles here. Splashdown, which is just like a stupid, what are those things called? The boats. The wave racers, right? Those things are, it's just like a wave racer game. It's nothing special. And Toka Race Driver 2, Ultimate Racing Simulator. Again, another game, stupid racing game. I mean, maybe it's good as far as racers go. I honestly don't know. I don't really play these. The only reason I picked these up is because they were really cheap, and I have a soft spot for games that are, they've been stuck in a Goodwill or a thrift store, clearly forever, and they're pretty much either going to go for virtually nothing or be thrown away, so I'm willing to give them a good home. Okay, moving on. I picked up Dead Rising 2 off the record for the Xbox 360. Pretty much my girlfriend made me buy this because she really loves Frank West. And my understanding is that after Dead Rising 1, which had this character in it, they released a Dead Rising 2 without him, and fans were so upset that they made Capcom re-release the game with the correct character in the game. More or less, that's my understanding of how that went down, and this is the version with him in it. So Target had this on sale for, I think they got it on clearance for like $10, maybe less, I don't really remember, and that's what I got it for. So I haven't really played it much, but she made me, so that's why I got it. I got the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. Halo is this really obscure underground indie title that you've probably never really heard of, but it was vaguely popular a few years ago, and then they decided to re-release the first one in the series, with better graphics and updated and everything. I'm kidding. Obviously, everybody knows what Halo is. Though I've never really been into Halo all that much, I still decided to get it because, again, Target had it on sale. It was in their clearance area, which kind of surprised me, to be honest. But I think I picked that one up for like $5 or $6. Like, they were just getting rid of it, so I was happy to add that to my collection. Now, back to the original Xbox. This one is 360 compatible. It is Blinx the Time Sweeper. There was a time where Microsoft was pushing this character like it was going to be their new mascot. This was going to replace Sonic and Mario. It was going to be this big thing, and it did get a sequel, but I remember the games being kind of like semi-well received, but nothing super special, even though Microsoft put a ton of money into marketing to try and make this character really popular, but it didn't really work out. But the game, I only played it for a little bit. It seemed okay. It seemed like something I could get into if I just spent more time with it. So, yeah, this was incredibly cheap. This was on clearance for $1. So I was like, yeah, I'll grab that. Shrek 2, which, God, why did I buy this? This, again, it's another one. I picked up Shrek 2, Blinx, Toka, and Splashdown all at the same place. They were clearing these things out, and I felt bad for it. Basically the same reason I would pick up like half the stuff here, in all honesty. And my same friend who is obsessed with Pikmin, the guy's a funny guy. He plays games that are absolute shit, and he'll play them for like 30+ hours and then suddenly turn them off and be like, this game sucks. Like, it just takes him forever to realize they're bad. And famously, he did this with Shrek 1 on the Xbox. He played this thing for like 4 days in a row, unlocking everything. And then finally he just stops, and I was like, what's wrong? He's like, this game sucks, man. Why was I doing that? So when I saw this, I just decided, because maybe one day I'll subject him to this game and see if he reacts the same way. That's pretty much the only reason I got it. Alright, now, generally at the end of this, I always show you like some new console or something I got, some kind of surprise. But I already showed you those. I don't have anything like that. So the only surprise I can give you, and if you stuck around to the end, I can show you something kind of rare here. I picked up Jurassic Park Operation Genesis for the Xbox. Now this was not a clearance item, man. This is a hard game to find on the Xbox. This is one of like the rarest games on the original Xbox. This is on the PS2 as well, but my understanding is the PS2 version is nowhere near as good and not nearly as rare. Basically, what this is if you guys remember that Roller Coaster Tycoon, those games, this is that with dinosaurs, an officially licensed Jurassic Park setting. You build your amusement park, you have to build your own Jurassic Park and get people to go. And inevitably, fences will fail and dinosaurs will escape, and you have to like rebuild stuff. And it seems pretty fun. It's 360 compatible, which is always good. Yeah, and this was really hard to track down, and they are skyrocketing lately in terms of price. I'm embarrassed to say, like $50 for this. It is not an easy game to find. The cheapest I've seen it after that was $75 for the disc only, and that's in person. I did see it for $80. I've seen it at one store selling it for $130. This is a very valuable and hard to find game, so if you have it, congratulations, don't get rid of it. And if you see it for cheap, pick it up, because you can flip that shit easy. That is a very rare and very valuable game. And it's also a very fun game, at least from what I've seen online. It looks like it's a hell of a lot of fun. I remember playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and thinking it was amazing. The idea of adding dinosaurs that could eat the tourists sounds like the best thing ever. But yeah, guys, that's my pickups for January 2013, plus that PS3 and those games. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and see you later.